Hello, everyone. Suzanne Taylor King here for the 1-year anniversary of Coach Conversations. Woohoo! I can't believe it. So for those of you who don't know me really well, I love new things. I love new ideas. So something that's been around for a year must really fuel my soul and really be lighting me up to do this. So welcome. Appreciate you. Let's go around the room. And first, we're going to start with Chris. Since I started my day at 8 o'clock this morning with Chris, I'm finishing my day tonight. I took a big break this afternoon, so don't worry. Chris.
Hi, I am Coach Chris. I am a sales and business consultant, and I work specifically with the home services industry, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. I'm in Atlanta, outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in a town called Woodstock, not to be confused with Woodstock, New York. I'm also the author of The Red Chair Experience. I say that she's going to pull hers out, so I have to pull mine out. So we'll go get the copies out, get them going there. If you want your own signed copy, go to theredchairexperience.com. And what am I looking forward to most? Every time I come to these, I'm surprised, and not in a bad way, but there's always a good surprise that I get, at least one or two takeaways from the conversations that I have. And it may be the main speaker, it may be the other conversations that happen afterwards, but there's always something for me to take away from it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Let's go to Brenda. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. My name is Brenda Marie Sheldrake. I am your BizLeads expert at BizLeads Expert, and I help busy entrepreneurs to stop wasting time on meetings that don't produce results by showing them how to generate more qualified leads. And I'm here because I think Suzanne is awesome, and I've been trying to get here for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and just open to learning something new.
Awesome. Well, welcome. It's great to have you. This is one of the few things I do at nighttime. So Gab is here that's joining, and you'll soon figure out that it's midnight for him. So
it's actually 7 a.m. here in the Philippines.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's better than midnight. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I feel much better about having you awake then. Why don't we let you go next? Gab, just 30 seconds, who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into the official.
Yeah. I'm Gab De Luna. I'm from the Philippines, and I've been doing digital marketing for 10 years now. And last year, I decided to pivot my entire agency into helping, people like you, knowledge entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators, consultants, learning communities, right? So this is a privilege for me. I'm a little nervous. This is my first time doing a talk like this. So, but it's a privilege. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Suzanne. I hope I give value to you. That's my main takeaway for today. I hope you learn something new. I hope that you can have a takeaway that will really enrich your business and, help your business grow. That's my only hope for tonight, in your case.
Beautiful. And when you pivoted your business, I always like to share, because, I'm bragging just a little bit, that when you first decided to start doing some more networking for your business, who was your first virtual one-on-one coffee with?
She's a pleasant lady by the name of Suzanne,
Yeah.
I think.
So
you were my first.
I felt so we're not going to go to where that could go, but reeling that right back in, I'm honored and privileged to have met you and just be around the quality of work that you provide. So it's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Judy.
Yeah, hello. So I'm Judy Kane, and my business is Aligned Consciousness, and I'm a mindset change specialist. So I work with individuals, but I also serve as a resource for lots of coaches to help them help their clients get past barriers in those coaching programs. So I'm here for two reasons. One, I'm just going to try everything out because I just joined this group and I want to see what all the things are and meet some of the people. And then the other thing is I'm always interested in what the challenges are that coaches have, because at serving as a resource to them, that's a good thing to know.
Absolutely. All right. Well, great to have you here, Judy. All right, Brendan, welcome from Canada, my friend.
Hey, welcome. We're truly international this evening.
Yeah.
So I own a company that does operations and sales consulting. I am, however, transitioning to work with men and men with disabilities on communication and business. That's coming soon. And I'm here because Suzanne told me I need to get my butt here. So here I am.
Did I say it like that? Ooh.
No, but I
Okay.
know you well enough to know that's how you meant it.
Okay, cool. I like it. I like it. Soft but firm. Perfect.
That's right. I'm excited to be here, guys. I have no idea what I'm in store for, whether that's good or bad. I'm not sure yet, but we'll find out.
You'll quickly find around me it's probably a good thing. So welcome. Great to have you. Charlie.
Hello, good evening from Pennsylvania. I'm in pretty close to where Suzanne lives. So what do? I help, as it says below me, I help people figure out what's next. Most people think they know what's next, but when they really think about it, they don't know what's next. My job is helping figure that out from a professional point of view. Then I show them how to get it. We put a strategy together, an action plan to help them get there. And once they get it, how do you keep it? How do you keep from losing it or having somebody take it away from you? So my job is to help them have more meaning, more success, and more fun in their life. I come to these meetings because I want to learn, I want to share. Collectively, we're so much better than we are alone. Thank you.
Love it. Well, welcome. All right, Mr. David George Brooke.
3 names. Thank you, Suzanne Taylor King.
You're welcome.
David George Brooke, that gratitude guy. Another 3 names. Seattle, Washington. I am primarily a speaker. That's probably the biggest thing that I do more than anything else. I had a couple of talks last week with Microsoft and Boeing and the financial group. And I just realized, I don't know, superpower, that word gets used a lot, but I love speaking. I talk only about gratitude and how having an attitude of gratitude can change your life. Gratitude turns what you have into enough. And I get a lot of feedback about you changed my life with the talk. And so it's just absolutely thrilling to me. And what I'm always looking for from places or groups like this is just another perspective. I just walk away sometimes from thinking, wow, I love what they said about that. I had never thought about this. And it's just neat to be around like-minded people that are entrepreneurs that understand they don't rely on a check every other Friday. And so it's just something about pedaling your own bike that gives a perspective that I just love to hear about. So that's the biggest takeaway I get.
Your own bike. I love pedaling your own bike from one cyclist. That resonates. So thank you.
Mhm.
All right. And Merva, is that how you pronounce your name?
Mirva.
Say it again for me.
Mirva.
Mirva, welcome. Where are you from?
Thank you. I'm on the east coast of Australia.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Is there something I missed?
What you do, and who you serve, and what brought you here tonight, total stranger?
Okay. Well, what brought me here is I saw somebody else say they're attending this on LinkedIn. And I looked at it and I went, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me go and meet some people. So my purpose of coming here was to meet new people and connect and create connections.
Wonderful.
So I also didn't really know what to expect. I am a coach. I'm focusing on life purpose. At the moment, I am a teacher and healer as well, but I'm focusing on particularly career women who feel that there has to be more to life than this, and they're looking for what is their real purpose. They find that they're like doing something that they don't want to be doing anymore. Whatever their reason is, whatever their circumstances are, but they are like, no, there's got to be more to life than this. So I help them with that, with coaching, as well as I have a 16-week program to work on different aspects to really solidify that and how to make that transition, whatever that means for them.
Beautiful. Well, I commend your bravery for coming to an event where you had no idea what you were going to show up to in the Zoom room. I honor that so much, and thank you for being here. And last but not least, Casey Williams.
Hello. I am an accountant, and I work with coaches and consultants, service-based business owners around the country to increase their wealth, both personally and in business. Sorry, I went to the dentist today, so I feel a little funny. That's what we do. So we help coaches and consultants to both on the accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll side, but then also we also offer a course to become a better business owner.
And Casey, do you have an event coming up that you would like to share?
Yes.
Wink, wink, put it in the chat. And please,
Okay,
everyone,
yeah,
share your, use this opportunity to connect with the other people in the room. Make sure you're connected to me and my community. Put your information in the chat or your LinkedIn profile, and make sure you connect with other people in the room. And tonight we're going to start this conversation with my new friend, Gab DeLuna. He's the president and CEO of the Prodigy Agency. And this agency focuses on marketing funnels for knowledge-based entrepreneur. I call them knowledge brokers. And when I first met him, you kind of immediately know that somebody believes in what they're doing and they really put their heart and soul into it. And that's everything he's about. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, let me introduce myself for the benefit of the newcomers. I'm Gab DeLuna. I've been doing digital marketing for almost 10 years now. And like Suzanne said, only last year, we decided to pivot the entire agency to specialize and focus on helping knowledge entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators, consultants, and learning communities like this. So you may ask, why? Why knowledge entrepreneurs? Why did we choose to specialize on this group, right? Well, I have a soft spot for teachers. I really do. I was a teacher for a brief stint a few years back, and I owe a lot to course creators. When I was building my business, I had zero knowledge about marketing and all the disciplines attached to it. I had to learn everything from scratch, really. So how did I learn? Yes, courses. I did a lot of reading, yes, a lot of podcasts and blogs, but mainly I learned from people like you. I learned from course creators. I learned from coaches. So when we decided to specialize on something, okay, why don't we help the people who helped us in the first place when we were trying to build our business? So now our vision at Prodigy is a thriving knowledge marketplace where teachers and students exchange equal value, right? Mastery and profits. That's our vision for Prodigy. Okay, so today we're going to talk about buyer personas, right? So buyer personas, this is a crucial first step, but I've seen many of our clients, they skip this part, right? They go straight to creation mode, which makes sense, right? Because that's what they know how to do, teach, create courses, start helping people, right? They go straight to that. But sometimes you know, I've seen it happen before. What happens if you pour so much time and energy into creating a certain program only to find out that no one's really interested in it, right? You get crickets. Or maybe there's real value in your program, but you fail to communicate the value the right way to the right audience, right? They're oblivious to the fact that there's this gold mine of information that you've created, but it never really got inside their radar, right? This is where many of our clients get stuck. They achieve initial success, but then they're having a hard time, you know, what do I do next? Where do I take this? You know, what's the right direction for me, right? How do I scale my business? One classic mistake that I see out there is they try to please everyone, right? They try to target everyone. So they try to create programs for different kinds of people, right? So they're spread too thin. And now they are catering to an audience that is too broad. It's too wide, right? That's why I love how Seth Godin puts it. This is the best quote that I've seen about this subject. He said, quote, "How is it possible for 3 cowboys to herd 1,000 cattle? Easy. They don't, right? They herd 10 cattle. And those cattle influence 50 cattle, and those cattle influence the rest. That's the way every single widespread movement or product or service has changed the world. And so we ignore all the others. You know, we ignore the masses and the selfish critics and those in love with the status quo. First, find 10 people who care enough about your work to enroll in the journey, and then they will bring others along." End quote. Okay, that's beautiful. It's from Seth Godin. Okay, so how do we choose our first 10? Okay. Well, first we have to choose one, just one, right? One ideal customer, one ideal student, right? And then we have to ignore the rest. That's how we build a successful business, any business, right? Okay, so what are buyer personas? Who here are familiar with avatars or customer profiles or buyer profiles? We're all familiar with them, right? Yeah. So here's a typical buyer persona or buyer profile for you, okay? So we start with the demographic, right? So what's her name? Her name is Emily Johnson. She's 38 years old. She's married with 2 kids. She lives in California. She has a bachelor's degree in economics. She's a solopreneur and has an annual income of $90,000. Okay, so that's the demographic. And then what's the psychographic, right? That comes next. Well, she's a visionary. She's conscious, she's positive and well-rounded. She's self-aware. She cares about the people around her, and she likes to surround herself with A players. She's collaborative and a good leader, and she's an infinite learner. She spends her time online on LinkedIn, YouTube, and productivity blogs. That's it. You know, that's your typical buyer profile, right? We have them. We all have them, right? They are helpful, yes, but to a very limited degree. If we really want to capture Emily's interest, if we really want to, you know, get into her mind, do you think this buyer profile is enough? What made her decide to look for a solution like yours? What's the trigger? What specific result is she looking for? Is she trying to better herself, or is she trying to mitigate the pain? What's preventing her from choosing your program, right? How does she evaluate other options? So as you see, there are so many missing pieces in the puzzle, right? That you won't get from a typical avatar or typical buyer profile. So what do most marketers do in this instance? You know, we were guilty of this in the past as well. What do we do usually? We try to imagine, right? We try to assume. We try to assume what's going on inside Emily's head. Oh, maybe, you know, she's looking to, you know, impress her boss or whatever, right? There's a lot of guesswork. Now we try to use our intuition. How would Emily respond to this type of messaging? You know, so does that approach really work? It rarely works. From the world of marketing, we've been doing this for 10 years. It rarely works when we try to assume or use our intuition to imagine what's going on in the customer's head, right? Is there a better way? Okay, is there a way to really know what's going on? What's the thinking process of our target customers? Well, yes. Okay, enter buyer personas, right? So the simplest way I can explain buyer personas is, okay, you take your typical buyer profile, right? You already have your demographic. You already have your psychographic, right? Where do they hang out? How much are they earning? So that's mostly quantitative data, all right? And then you combine that with buyer stories and insights. So you have your qualitative data. So quantitative data plus qualitative data, that's your buyer persona right there. The question is, how do we get those stories? Well, we certainly need to stop assuming we know their stories already, right? Okay, so how do we get those insights? Well, for the sake of completion, quantitative data, not really my expertise, but just a brief explanation. So you have your secondary data, which you get from Google, right? When you Google, okay, what are people, what's the trend right now? You go to Google Trends, maybe you buy a research, from a third-party firm. So that's your secondary data that's collected by other people, and maybe you can buy those data. And then you have your primary data, where you get from your sign-up forms, from your onboarding forms. Maybe you do a social media poll, right? Those are very popular these days. So that's the primary data that you gather yourself. Okay, so that's your quantitative data. These are mostly beneficial for behavioral insights. Okay, what's the trend right now? So those are very, very important. So there are people who are saying, no, we don't need qualitative. We just need big data. You get everything you need to learn from big. No, I don't believe that. You need both. These are both important, right? Quantitative data, they get you pointed in a general direction, right? A general broad direction. What's the hot topic right now? What are people talking about? What's the general sense? But again, there's that word, general, right? It's too broad still. So we need to narrow it down. Okay, so how do we get that? Well, interviews. Okay, lots and lots of interviews. So by talking directly to your customers, to your students, to your clients, to your community members. Okay, so first I want you to list 8 to 10 students or clients or community members. So start with 8 to 10. Okay, interview them. This will give you your initial insights. And then at least once a month, you have to interview and talk to one new person. Okay, one new student, one new client. This will give you fresh insights, and it will help you course correct if there are any changes in the industry. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? So you have to continuously talk directly to your audience, right? Interview them. Okay, it's simple as that, right? It's still connecting with people. It's still building those relationships, right? Okay, so what are we looking for? What are the questions we need to ask? Okay, so actually there's just one question. It's not really a question. It's really a prompt. Okay, are you ready? So here it is. Take me back to the day when you first decided to evaluate, okay, insert your industry. Maybe you're talking about accounting, right? Take me back to the day when you first decided to evaluate accounting services and tell me what happened. All right, so let me repeat that. Take me back to the day when you first decided to evaluate accounting courses or productivity courses, and then tell me what happened. Why is it structured this way? It's structured this way because we want the person to get into story mode, right? Into a narrative form. We don't ask them to answer specific questions that are directly related to our product. All right. We don't even mention our product. We don't mention our course. We don't mention our service. We mention the solution. What made you decide to evaluate a certain solution? And then we take them back to that place wherein their subconscious is working, right? Because we want to prevent people justifying their answers, right? That's the typical interview works that way. You know, we have a series of questions. Okay, tell me, why did you buy this? Okay, oh, why that, right? Okay, what did you like about our service? Okay, what you didn't like about our service? It's not really narrative. They're not telling the story. They're answering specific questions, and they get into a justification mode. They want to justify the decision that they made. That doesn't give us accurate answers, right? We want them just telling the story, narrative form, rather than supplying answers. So be a little journalistic in this sense. You know, journalists, they get you to tell your story, right? They're super curious, a little assertive, right? Just the right amount of being assertive. And they're not really satisfied with yes or no answers, right? They ask you to expound. They ask you to keep telling that story. They listen actively. So active listening is key here. And they are infinitely curious. They are really just curious. Just let your curiosity run wild. Okay, interesting. So why that? Okay, why not this? Right? Who's stopping you to do this? So just be curious and keep them telling that story. Okay. So now you have your recording. Ideally, you have a recording of this or a transcript, right? And then you go back and listen to the recording or read the transcript. And now you are looking for 5 buyer insights. Okay. I mentioned this last because, again, I don't want you to structure your interview based on these questions, right? You go back and listen to the recording or read the transcript, and then you plot the answers from the story. You organize them into these buyer insights. What are those 5? So number 1, what's the trigger? You know, what's that compelling reason? Why did they decide to look for a solution in the first place? Okay, that's insight number 1, the trigger. Insight number 2, what's the end result? What's the benefit they're looking for? Okay, and this insight really eliminates a lot of the guesswork. We don't need to reverse engineer our messaging because we can get the verbatim. We can get it verbatim from what they said, and then we can put that into our messaging, or we can put that into our courses, and then that's your messaging right there, right? So sometimes we get surprised. Sometimes our messaging is revolved around maybe enriching our students' lives, right? Empowering them. But upon interviewing your target market, you reveal that, oh, they are more concerned in reducing pain. You know, they want to mitigate pain. So it's really surprising what insights that you get from these kinds of this insight. So that's insight number 2. Insight number 3 is, what are the perceived barriers? Okay, what's preventing them from considering your solution? So maybe it's a resistance from another decision maker. Maybe they had an unfortunate prior experience with similar programs, or maybe they have a negative perception of your brand, accurate or not. Okay. So when you hear barriers like this, maybe you can start reassuring your buyer, your client, your student, or maybe you can improve your program, or maybe you can improve your reputation in your brand. So that's insight number 3, perceived barriers. Okay, insight number 4 is the buyer's journey. Okay, you get to see the entire journey from the moment that they decided that, oh, I need to solve this, I need to find a solution to this, to when they evaluated options, and then when they eliminated contenders, and then when did they settle on a final solution. Okay, this will give you insight. Okay, who influenced them during that entire journey. What kind of people did they talk to? What kind of authorities did they went to? What kind of blogs did they read? So insight number 4 is buyer's journey. So learn about that entire journey from the moment they decided to look for a solution to the time that they bought something. Okay, they bought your program. And then insight number 5 is the decision criteria. What specific attributes did they use to evaluate when they were comparing programs? Were they looking for the number of followers of this person? Were they looking for, okay, who are the people who I know who took their class, right? Or maybe the content, or maybe, the length, I don't know, So this will give you insight on what are the features or benefits that they're really looking for. Okay, so that's insight number 5, decision criteria. Okay, so a little bit of recap. First, you do in the interview, you get them into story mode. You just be infinitely curious, just, ask them, open-ended questions and ask them to expound. You take that recording, you go back to it, and then you put them inside these 5 insights: the trigger, the end result, perceived barriers, the buyer's journey, and the decision criteria. And if you have a marketing team, you give that to them. Okay, those are the insights that they need to create your messaging for you. Or you can do it on your own. And it will also influence the way you create your programs, right? When you know what your buyers or your students or your clients are really going through, then you structure your program based on that, rather than, copying someone, who's doing this, who's doing it for other people, other kinds of people. So a little bit of a meta story. The reason why I'm talking about buyer's journey right now, or buyer personas, is because I interviewed my clients, right? When we first created, so this is a 1-year journey for us so far. When we were first creating our systems, our methodologies, and every framework that we're using right now for strategy, we thought, again, we assumed that the client, coaches and course creators, I think what their main pain point is, I think they need help with their funnels. I think they need to optimize their funnels, because sometimes funnels get too complicated, right? They branch out and they get too convoluted sometimes. Oh, let's help them do that. But upon interviewing, upon, discovery call after discovery call, when I shifted my, before, when we were just an execution agency, I just asked them, okay, what do you need? Oh, you need a website. Okay, what else do you need? Oh, you need social media. Okay, we can do this. Okay, we can do these for you. They are self-diagnosed already. Okay, so when I shifted my style of selling into a more consultative way, right, and in a more advice-giving way, I asked them leading questions. I asked them smarter questions. I asked them questions about, okay, what's your vision? What's your desired future state? Okay, and what are your major pain points, right? When I shifted my style into that, again, I got them into story mode. I got them to tell them, okay, this is my challenge right now. Okay, most of the stuff that I told you earlier, it's verbatim from these interviews. I got them from my clients. So most of them told me, okay, yeah, I have this course, I have this mailing list. I have 300 people there, but I did this because I tried to solve something of a challenge of mine, and now people are liking it. People are really buying my courses, but I don't know, where do I take this? What's my next step, right? Who am I really? What am I really selling? And who are my target audience? So that keeps popping up. Okay, who am I? What am I selling? And who really is my target audience? So now we are again restructuring some of our offerings, some of our programs, to shift into this, into solving this for our clients. That's why we're talking about buyer personas right now, because a lot of my clients and a lot of the people I talk to, they are really struggling with this. How do I identify my target audience? How do I narrow that down? And how do I even know who I am? And what am I selling? So we're talking values, we're talking purpose, we're talking differentiation and positioning and value proposition. So now we're really trying to restructure our strategy based again on these interviews, on actual insights from actual people. Okay, so that's it. I hope you got something from it. And thank you again for allowing me to be here.
Thank you so much. I loved it, and I loved the idea of actually not assuming any of this stuff. I think that happens so many times when we're even doing story brand or doing a post on social media. We're assuming those pain points. We're trying to be in our own head 10 or 15 years ago, 5 years ago, because typically we were our own best clients at some point. I'd love to open the floor for comments, insights, takeaways, questions for Gab, or let's just get the conversation started. Go ahead, Brendan.
So I felt weird raising my hand like I'm in grade school again.
Yeah, don't.
Gab, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And this might not fit in because I might not be an ideal client, but my thought went to, okay, someone like me who's starting over, so to speak, starting from scratch. I don't have those 8 or 10 people to talk to. Do you have recommendations on where to go?
Yeah, well, what I did when we first pivoted, I didn't know any coaches. I didn't know any consultants. So LinkedIn was my friend. That's how I discovered Suzanne. I tried to look for them. I tried to look where they hang out. So I hung out where they hang out, right? And then I tried to try to be visible, and schedule networking calls, schedule virtual coffees with them, just talk to them. Get those insights from them directly. So that was what I did. I don't know if anybody else has another opinion or another insight on this.
So in your, we call those coffee chats, is that where that 15-minute conversation, is that where you asked that, or did you take it a step after that?
It's a combination of both. It depends on the reception, how receptive the person is. Sometimes it's just a virtual coffee or a coffee chat, and then it turns into a discovery call right then and there, or it turns into a diagnostic right then and there. So I let, like what Suzanne said earlier, I let it organically grow the relationship. It's like having a relationship with another, any person, right? I don't typically diagnose them right then and there. I don't really sell anything. I don't pitch them anything. I just try to be curious. So that's my mindset whenever I get into these conversations. May it be a virtual coffee, may it be an actual discovery call, may it be a diagnostic, whatever it is, I just try to be helpful and curious and really get to their story. So maybe it may be a 15-minute one, maybe an hour call. So I don't really have a structure right now. I just feel my way into the conversation and how receptive the person is. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
So Gab, I gotta say that every time you say just be curious, it reminds me of Ted Lasso. Be curious, not judgmental. And I love that scene from the movie. In fact, I did a talk on that one time. But what you're talking about in terms of being curious, when you're having, to kind of talk to what Casey was just asking about, people love to talk about themselves. So ask them, be curious about their business. What would help you if you had a magic wand? What would help you with your business? What would help, go from here to there, right? And you're directing that conversation, but you're doing it with a purpose to help you understand what they're doing. You're not doing it to get their business, but if that happens, it happens. But I love what you're saying there, Gabe. I mean, just bringing up those things and being curious about them, and you'll discover these things if you let them talk and be curious about their business, be curious about what they're doing. I have a very niche clientele. I work with home
Mhm.
services, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, right? I'm narrowed down to that. It doesn't mean I can't work with anybody else. It just means
Yeah.
that's who I normally work with. And I know the questions to ask them to get them to talk about their business, right? I know some of the insights of their business. And if you know the insights of your clients, it's a great way to kind of direct the conversation to get them to talk about and be open about what they're doing. And Charlie's got his hand raised, but he does a phenomenal job at that. But
Love that. Yes, Charlie.
Gab, I want to build on what Chris just talked about. And that is, we never learn anything by talking. You know, we have to, if we're all of us here, from what I gathered, we like to help people. We want to make people a better version of themselves in our own ways. You know, with David, it's about gratitude. Embracing gratitude will help change their lives. With Mirva, it's different than it is with Judy, but we're all trying to help people, right? And they have challenges or issues that they may not be aware of, that we need to go in deeper with them to uncover what's really going on. So they discover it. So they really know for certain what's really bothering them or what's holding them back, et cetera. So we should all be naturally curious because we're trying to be of help to people. And then again, we may not be the solution, but somebody in our network or our community may be. And therefore, we are providing a resource to the person with whom we're having a conversation that could benefit them. And that creates reciprocity in ways we don't quite understand, but it happens. And it helps to elevate everybody. So what you're doing is designed to help the other person. That's what I'm getting a sense at, and that you're committed to doing that. And what's eventually going to happen is either they're going to see you as a solution, or you're going to recommend somebody else, or they're going to refer other people to you. You know, I'm looking for people like you. They'll say, well, who do you work with, Gab? And I said, well, I work with people like you. Do you know anybody like you that may have similar challenges? So I commend you on simplifying this whole process, because it is quite simple. We overcomplicate it.
That's right. Anyone can do it, right? We don't need to buy complicated tools or fancy equipment or research a lot of people. Anyone can do this. You know, just go out there and talk to people.
Well, again, we all position ourselves as subject matter experts. And the way you become a subject matter expert is not by what you do, it's by what other people inform you. We went to university, we took courses, we got degrees, we got certifications. Why? To get better at our chosen profession, our expertise. And so what you're doing is sort of like a focus group, one at a time, to gather that information so that you know, some people on this call have heard me say this before. You know, most buyers of vaporware, many of us sell vaporware. What they do is they can get 80% of their answers from the Google machine. We can provide the other 20%. So the method you're using is, how can I add to my knowledge base to be able to help other people? And other clients, other prospects will give you the information you need to do that. So there's a lot of benefit that's flowing from what you're saying, Gab. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Gab, great presentation. Very
Thank you.
Gab DeLuna, what a cool name. It's interesting, you use the word pitch. And I was thinking in the last year, the amount of networking calls I've been on and how I've met Suzanne and Chris and Charlie and just different people. And it's hard to keep track of them sometimes, but I'm fascinated by how many people, how long it takes them. And it's not many minutes in many cases to get into the pitch. And I go, here it comes. And where I thought we were just going to connect and be friends and just talk about stuff. And one of the modules I talk about in my gratitude talk called Maximizing Your Gratitude Attitude is, if you want to help yourself, help other people. And where the sweet spot hits it, I've been on both the giving and the receiving end of this, is when the person says to you, how can we work together? And you haven't even given them a pitch. And you go,
Yeah.
well, yeah, gosh, I can explain, but because you keep giving. And I just read a book for the second time, The Go-Giver by Bob Bergen. The Go-Giver Sells More. And it's all about making it about them. And that was, you brought that up a number of times, and several other people that I think Charlie mentioned that, Chris. It's about them. It's like you can't learn anything when you're talking is such a great point. I think that was attributed to Larry King, I think. But it's just, you make it about them. If you keep making it about them, and when somebody's talking, use words like tell me more. And then when they talk some more, you go, and then what? And you get them to keep talking. Everything works out great. It's just amazing how well it works, not to mention everything you can learn. So anyway, but thanks again. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you. It takes a lot of practice. It took me a while to get to that point where I don't need to look at my script. I don't need to look at my notes. I just hyper focused on the other person. It takes a lot of practice. It's an art, really. So yeah, there are no shortcuts.
Yeah, I'd like to offer that I struggled with this when I first came into the online space as a coach, because I was in a gym environment and my clients walked in the door. They walked in the door, they, wanted help with their nutrition and their fitness. And literally it was like, walk in the door. Okay, there's only one choice. It's me. And I would be the one to help them. And when I transitioned into the online space, I didn't know quite how to find people. And I quickly started listening to the conversations that people in my industry were having. So if you're struggling to find people to talk to, I recommend, where are those conversations happening? Well, they're typically happening with, I just mentioned this to Casey earlier today. She talks finances and money management and profit first, Mike Michalowicz's tribe, right? Like, go see what conversations he's having on social media. And I discovered that process from working with a coach back then. And she said, look, you want to insert yourself into these conversations and see what other people are talking about. One of the reasons we're here in this room. What are other coaches talking about? What are they working on? What are they doing? And I think that's been the single, besides curiosity, besides being able to talk to people, it's that research piece, finding what the conversations are and where are they happening. Any tips for that you could offer? Please jump in and add to the conversation.
I don't know about a tip, but after our conversation today, I did go follow Mike Michałowicz. I've been teaching his stuff for years, but I didn't follow him on LinkedIn. And I learned today that October is small business, Women's Small Business Month. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
I learned that from Mike Michałowicz today.
Oh.
I feel like we need a separate calendar for all these like special days and months, and like, it's so hard to.
I know. I own a bakery in addition to the accounting firm, and someone had to come in and tell us it was National Donut Day because we didn't know that. Because how many of them are there in a year? The answer is 6. There are 6 National Donut Days in a year. But we didn't know that was happened to be one that we happen to be open on.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I agree. We need a calendar just for that.
There's actually a website for that.
Is there?
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, that's not surprising, but yeah, there's an online calendar for that and a website. And because I used it when I was writing my book, I used it. I had to use it for certain things, to look into certain things. But yeah.
That's cool.
I bet you could download that calendar onto your Google Calendar, just like we do like the national
Like a
holiday.
special calendar. Just check the
Yeah,
special.
yeah. Think of the like topics you could talk about and integrate those into your business as you talk in something.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for topics to talk about. That'd be a good one. The National Day.
Yeah. Any other questions, insights that you'd like to share, tips for finding those conversations and people?
I think I have a link for the kind of calendar you're talking about that I might be able to put into the chat.
Oh,
I'm just
awesome.
checking.
I just dropped one in too, Brenda, the one that I used.
I want to say, have the conversations. No matter where you're at in your business, just have the conversations. Because you meet so many great people like Gab and Suzanne and all the rest of you have talked about. I was laughing while David was talking because I typically have the opposite problem. I forget to talk about business because I'm having such a good time getting to know the other person. Suzanne, you can attest to this.
Oh my gosh. We had a 30-minute call scheduled and I can't even tell you what we talked about for 90 minutes. But between kids and food and I don't even know.
So many of my calls go that way. I get to that end of 30 minutes, 90 minutes. I'm like, oh, by the way, this is what I do. What do you do?
Yeah.
So I need to get better a little bit the other way, where I actually tell them I do some stuff.
Oh yeah, because you do have a job, you do have a business, and I think that's the hardest piece to remember is that I'm not just here having fun. Like we're actually doing this for a reason, Suzanne, right?
I like the story mode idea though, to ask them, because it takes that guard down. There's no pitch, there's no fear. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I put a link in the chat about a video that I'd highly recommend everybody look like, because we're all in the advice business. And sometimes we're so eager to provide advice that we prematurely offer advice before we fully understand exactly what the needs are that the people want. And what's going through their head is they're not listening to me. What a stupid suggestion. They really don't know yet. And it's our fault for not doing what you said, Gab. Get them to talk, right? So I'd urge you to take a look at that. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
I love this. I'm a
he's
big fan
great.
of Michael. How do you say
Yeah.
that? Bungay Steiner. Yeah, I read his
Yeah.
book. Lovely guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Now he'd be a good one. Brendan, he's got some great conversations about coaching, men's leadership. He coaches a lot of male executives. He does a lot of corporate coaching. So somebody to insert in the comments and, add your thoughts on his stuff. I forgot about him. He's great.
I think Merva has her hand up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Merva.
Thank you. Yeah, just to contribute to where to acquire the opportunities to have avatar interviews. I made a post on social media. And I got some people whom I didn't know from a bar of soap from local community groups on Facebook. I just made a post and I said, I'm doing this as market research to help me figure my business model. So it was very clear that they were doing it for research and to assist me. And I said, in return, I will give you a half an hour session, so it's an exchange. That's how I got some I just knew, and I gave a little brief of what kind of people I was looking for. Because I wanted to talk to career women and find out where they were in regards to their life and their career journey and their purpose. So I wasn't gonna talk to a young person in high school. That wasn't that, that doesn't fit the bill for me. So I had qualified conversations. but I'm still open to doing more of them. I'm still not, yeah, kind of, it's an open door that I plan to continue to have those as they come up, as the opportunities come to rise, to do it on an ongoing basis, like you said. But it helped. That's how I approached local community groups on social media, and people responded. Some people I just knew myself, and I said, they shared my post, and I said, but hey, how about you do this conversation with me? I would love to hear from you, because they actually fit the bill, but for whatever reason, they didn't say that I fit the bill, Merva. I can talk to you. So I just, after a while, I just said to them, I said, I'd love to hear your perspective. What is your reality like? And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. So that's what I did. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. All right, let's go around the room. We have a couple minutes left. Let's go around the room with your big takeaway from Gab's conversation and everything else tonight. Who wants to go first? Kick it off. Big takeaway. Go ahead, Brendan.
I really, excuse me, I really like the idea, Gab, of pick those 8 people, but then have one a month, like add one a month. That add piece is really, really good, because sure, we've probably all done this, like talk to 10 people or whatever, but then we don't do it again. So I really like that add piece.
Awesome. Judy.
Yeah, I really liked all of it, but particularly the categories for those 5 buyer insights. You know, I mean, that's something, once you get the transcripts, once you listen to the stuff of what kind of meat and how to organize that, and then, like you said, that's what you use to tell people how you can help and to design your products and all that type of thing. So really good. I took a lot of notes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Coach Chris.
For me, it was, I think, aside from being curious, during the conversations, what you said, Gab, was during conversations, talk about anything but your product or service and really make it about them. So it's just a nice reminder to say, hey, it's about them. Listen to them. Listen to what they have to say.
Great. David.
Well, similar to Coach Chris, the listening aspect, not talking, the story aspect of it, and just curiosity. I'm from Seattle, and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and all those super rich guys are from Seattle. And Bill Gates' father once was asked about Bill Gates Jr. that started Microsoft, and he said, "What did you notice about him growing up?" And he said he had an insatiable curiosity. And so it just, look where that got him. So yeah, so great stuff. Thank you.
Welcome. Charlie.
I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I think I know it all until I start speaking to people and they tell me things that I didn't know before, right? So it humbles you. And what I like about what you did, imagine you're trying to develop a new habit. At the beginning, you have to be very conscious about doing it. You've given us a framework, Gab, in which if we follow that framework, like Judy said, it'll become easier and easier to become second nature to us. And it's going to be very natural to conduct conversations in the manner that you're suggesting. So for me, that was a big, important takeaway. Thank you.
Awesome. Brenda.
I think for me, it was a confirmation that what I've been doing already, that I'm doing the right things, because when I do tons and tons of getting to know you calls. I do them all the time. My goal is 5 new connections every day, and it's actual connections. It's not just a getting to know you call. And the focus always is on them. It's on me learning more about them and how I can help them, how I can best serve them. And it always pays off. You're so right. It always pays off, because once I've helped them, I mean, when I was first doing this, people would ask me, well, how much are you going to charge me for this? And I would going, there's no charge for this. I'm not charging you for this. It's what I do. Mm-hmm. And so it's confirmation that what I've been doing is right, and that that we just need to show more of the world that that's the right way to do it.
Yeah. Love it. Great
Just
takeaway.
don't teach your competitors how to do it, Brenda.
Casey, what's your big takeaway?
The story mode was mine to get into, to ask that in story mode so that it's less confrontational, less uncomfortable.
Love it. That was mine too. Loved that. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being here for the October 1-year anniversary of Coach Conversations. Let me do a quick screenshot here. All right. Ready? Big smile. Thank you. Awesome, guys. Perfect. Brady Bunch here at the end. Thank you for being here. I'm going to hit stop recording.